the Dallas area. I've been wholesaling for 4 years. We mainly do land. I've done some single family deals. I've done some multifamily deals, but we mainly specifically target land deals, big acreage as well as infill lots. My partner right here is Devin guy, with the gray hair.
What's up, Devin?
Yes, sir. But yeah, I mean, we've been doing deals. We probably done over 100, 200 deals in Dallas alone. We also do disposition, so a lot of people send us their deals in Dallas, and they know us as the hub, as the people they can come to move their lots.
Okay, okay. Devin, if you could introduce yourself as well. I know you guys are partners.
Sir, what's up, fellas and ladies? Yeah, so I've been working with Malik now for a little over 3 years. Basically, kind of run the behind the scenes, a lot of the system integrations, a lot of the CRM work, emails, texts, data search, a lot of that type of work. Um, Basically, in the role, um, I kind of help assist with that. Malik's more of the acquisitions, and then we both been doing dispositions as of late. We had another partner, but he kind of actually transitioned. Cool story about him is, with working in land, doing acquisitions, dispositions, stuff like that, you're able to gain enough experience and understanding of the game to actually do the build yourself. So I actually built a house, and then our other partner, uh, he's working for one of the major developers that are in Dallas right now. So he's now, I think, finished two or three houses, working under that builder as a project manager, and that came from starting out in wholesaling. So,
And that's
wholesale,
Anthony?
yeah,
Anthony, yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Wow. That's what's
yeah,
up.
yeah. So it's not just a business that limits you to just wholesaling. You can venture off and do other things, with the experience and the knowledge that you gain. So
Yeah, that's the one thing I love about this business. You know, you like what we're doing is literally like the beginner level on where
yeah,
this land business could go. You know,
Thank
you
you.
could go from doing seller financing to the point where you're building now. You could do multiple different avenues.
for
So
sure.
Mhm.
that's what I love about it. But how'd you guys even get connected?
Man, we met at a real estate event. Donovan Ruffin is one of the prominent faces in Dallas as far as wholesaling, and he used to throw a quarterly event in Dallas at the Virgin Hotel.
Yeah,
So
really.
actually, I had another partner at the time named um, Elijah Thompson, and he brought Devin. I believe y'all met in church, right?
Yeah, we met at a church event.
Oh yeah, so he brought Devin to that event. And Anthony actually showed up to that event too. We all actually met on the same day. We didn't become partners on the same day, but we met on the same day at that Virgin Hotel event. Devin became part of the team. He was actually an acquisition first. He was locking up deals, very good on the phones, and I just knew his skill set was just way further than just acquisitions. He was doing stuff that I didn't even know, as far as integration and providing actual value to the company. So we became equal partners, and now we're here. We've been doing deals for like you said, 3 to 4 years. We've done over 100
Mhm.
deals. Um, Definitely
So
made close to seven figures together for sure.
a lot of people starting out, I like to tell them, work with people, to get your first deal, to get off the ground running, because a lot of this it takes accountability,
For
and
sure.
it's hard to put accountability on ourselves. So, like in terms of partnering, what made you guys decide to like officially partner?
On my end, it was when I realized, he had skill sets that I didn't have. Whether it be me more being a more so there's an integrator and then there's a visionary. I felt like I had more visionary tactics and skill sets, and he had more integrators. And I just believe that collab and putting the pieces together allowed us to take it to another level. Because where I lacked, he was good at. Where he lacked, I was good at.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, let's go into your first deal, Malik.
Yes,
I
sir.
know we talked about it on the podcast, but let's break it down tonight. So,
I'll start from the beginning, man. I remember quitting my job. I worked for another wholesale company. I was doing acquisitions and dispositions, but I realized, I was making them a lot of money, and I was getting like slivers of that. So I was like, okay, I know how to do the act. I know how to do the dispo. I kind of want to do this for myself and be an entrepreneur for myself. So I end up leaving. I had to talk with them, tell them, my aspirations, and they agreed and they supported me. I think I had like maybe 2K saved. I didn't have much saved, but I was a little stressed. I was like, I want to do this, but I hope I don't run out of my means. So what I did know to do is to call people. So I went on Mojo. I got a Mojo account. I knew how to pull a list. I pulled a list from Propstream. I got a land list, just like Greenville acreage. I knew that's the city that we were primarily targeting when I worked for them. So I'm like, okay, if we're doing a lot of deals here, then when I venture off by myself, I want to stay in this pocket. So I pulled that list, started calling on it, and it was fast, bro. I know a lot of people they sometimes they could say it takes a while for them to get their first deal. We created that LLC in January, and I closed. I know we locked that deal up. It's a 100K deal. It's 2 acres in Greenville. We locked it up for 20K in February, and then it closed. It took a while to close, but it closed in May. And we sold it for 120, and we made 100K.
Put it all out on the stage.
Crazy. Denzel, if you could mute your mic or mute your, got you. Yeah, that's crazy. So within a couple months, you got that
Yeah,
first K on that
for
deal.
sure, for
Like,
sure.
what was your mindset like after getting it? Do you think every deal was gonna be 100K? Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, I haven't seen that since, and it's been 4 years since then. I closed that in 2021. It is now 2024. I have not seen a 100K deal since then, but I've gotten close. We've gotten like 75K deals, 50K deals. But yeah, it's definitely a unicorn. And I was blessed, to be able to, come out the gate so early and get a deal like that. It allowed me to scale a team. I got an office in Fort Worth. I was able to, get Devin in. I had another acquisition person. We had certain systems and processes that we were able to scale. I got some VAs. So it was a real company. We were able to scale up a real company pretty fast because we had the funds to do it and the capital to do it. I will say I didn't know as much as I do now. So I was kind of like throwing money everywhere, just kind of spending marketing dollars. And sometimes you have to do that. You got to touch the stove and learn what works and what doesn't work. But um, that's kind of where my head was. Definitely never seen 100K before in my life. I worked at Academy before I was even into wholesale. I was a manager at a shoe store. So I have a video when I got that 100K, I was shaking because I just never seen it.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
dope, bro. Now, Devin, with you, did you get your first deal with Malik, or was it before working with Malik?
Yeah, before working with Malik, I was actually working with General Electric. I was basically engineer for them, and I helped provide like service sheets and stuff like that, repair service sheets for their engineers to go out there and fix locomotives. So like getting into wholesaling was a whole new realm for me. And I met, like you were saying, his old partner that introduced me to Malik. And so when I came with them, that's when I was kind of like testing the waters, doing some acquisitions, some cool calls. Um, we actually it actually wasn't for about a month until I actually started getting some leads because it's all about the data in this game for sure. When I first got on there with them, I was just mojo calling like a blank data list that they had just to try to test it out. And it wasn't until we actually got a decent CRM to where you could start to stack the data a little bit and actually get a little bit hotter, warmer leads. We hired a few VAs that were pumping out a bunch of calls. So like once we did that, I was able to secure deals pretty consistently. I mean, I had days where I was getting like two, three contracts at a time
Yeah.
because of the data. Uh, and so like all my deals I've gotten with Malik and with Anthony. We had through different relationships, through different things, different ways. A lot of the deals we do now are JV joint venture, and just teaching other people how to kind of do what we do and then helping dispo for them, because we've been able to create such a strong disposition company. But starting out, we were solely focused on ACT. We barely did any JVs here or there. And then I don't know, the Texas market really blew up. Kind of a little bit slower now, but it's starting to make its way around, I think, now that the elections have changed. I think post January things will probably start to pick up a little bit more.
For sure, for sure. So there's one thing that you mentioned that I want to highlight. You was talking about data, right? So where do you get your data from? And then also for the people that want to join venture with you guys, what can you teach us, or what's like the first steps that we could take to work with you guys in the Texas market?
I'm gonna answer the first question. I'll let Devin
Yeah.
do the second question. For data, I have a couple options, and you guys can write these down. I pulled from Propstream, obviously. If you're working with lower marketing dollars, you can go to PropWire method. It's free. Kind skip tracing. I'm very good friends with the CEO. His name is Josh Chan. He'll literally call me. We just had a call yesterday. He'll literally tell me what cities and what counties are doing the most wholesale transactions, and so he's like a little cheat code. But he'll sit down with you and he'll give you analysis on the market, on different markets in your own state. And he can break it down by zip code, county, city. So kind skip tracing. And it also comes skip trace with
Can
the
he question? Can he
Mhm.
get lists like probate, like people that inherit land, things
All
like
of
that?
that. All of that. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really, really
you
good.
can get all that information, but at the end of the day, like we've tested out his data before. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It's just it really kind of comes down to there's another guy we know, his name's Jeremy. He's the king of stacking data. It really comes down to like filtering out your data and like sifting through it like one, two, three times, making sure the numbers, their actual addresses, and just like
Yeah.
the stacking data element is a really important thing. Some companies already do that heavy filtration, which are going to be obviously the more expensive data companies. The
Yeah.
cheaper end are just it's just all raw,
Yeah.
because like especially when it comes to land in Texas, I'm sure it's the same for Florida. Like people are developing a lot, so like you could buy a list and call 100 numbers, and like 90 of those numbers already built a house or started building a house on it. So it's like that can be a big issue, is it actually being updated to current date standards.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
For
I
sure.
did hear that this one data tree, they update their data more frequently than PropStream does, is what I heard. So data tree is another one that I want to start using as we go direct to seller, because like he said, a lot of these lots may have a new build on it and it doesn't reflect in the data when you pull it, and then you're wasting marketing dollars and skip tracing dollars on stuff that you can't really get a deal from. So definitely, if you're just starting out, you want to be as locked in and frugal as possible with your money. Not frugal, but as strategic with your money, and not just blow it on stuff that's not going to bring you back any return. So definitely go through your data. That's why driving for dollars is a great list, because you get to actually see. You ride in these streets, you put lots, or if you go on Deal Machine, you can literally plot lots. That's another data platform you can use. It's just plotting these lots, because you're actually seeing that, okay, bet there's no, it's vacant, there's no home on it, there's no structure on it. I can put this in my list, and hopefully I can convert this into a deal.
For sure. So Devin, can you show us like how like the beginning steps on how we could understand the Texas market, so we could send you guys potential JV deals?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's
I'm gonna make you the host, bro,
okay, okay, yeah,
and you can share your screen.
all right, but gotta do this.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
chime in while he's doing that. I just had a 2 hour phone call with Pace Morby. Pace Morby uses something called Deal Sauce. Deal Sauce is a good way he goes and gets his leads. That is actually something that has been created by someone who is inside of his community. And dealsauce.io, it's secure.dealsauce.io. It basically has like 160 million property records just off my notes, has a comp calculator and an offer checklist, a rehab cost estimator, like a one-click report with market analysis, and it basically gives you like a map as well. So dealsauce.io. That is something Pace himself and all his followers are using for all of their leads.
That's dope. Never even heard of that, so I appreciate that.
And this is
It's
Anthony,
only in
by the
that
way,
community.
guys. This is our other partner. I don't think he introduced himself.
No,
So
I just popped in. I had to put the baby to sleep. Got a newborn. She's only 7 days old.
Congrats. Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
almost smiling, bless you. Don't say that on here.
He's as nervous as he is excited about that baby girl.
I got the bond money ready. Let's just go ahead and say that.
I mean, Anthony, since you're on here, bro, you can run through these if you want.
I mean, when it comes down to like doing deals with us, that was your question? Like, what was the easiest way to do
Yeah.
deals?
So, like, what would be the beginning steps to like working with you guys? Since we're not in the Texas market, we don't know where to start. So, where can we start?
So the best way to start is understanding the fact that we need you to have at least communication with somebody that either owns the deal or has the deal. So there's a lot of times where we are brought deals to where it's on Zillow and they're like, hey, I found this deal on Zillow. Like, what do you think? It's not something that necessarily that could help me or it could help you. We're not telling you that you have to go buy an entire list for us, but just be in communication with the person you're telling us that has the deal. Equitable interest, which means actually have a contract in place, actually have some sort of option agreement in place that allows us to be able to market the deal. Because again, we will JV with you, joint venture, which means we could go into this deal together. None of us want to get sued, right? So at least be in conversation, or the better part, have the contract in place before we are in communication to even try and sell this deal, right? We need a number. So be in communication and then have a number in mind. If you haven't dragged the number out of the wholesaler you're working with that you're going to bring to us, or you don't have a number out of the seller that you're going to bring to us, then really what we're going to do is we're going to comp it, give you a low ball number, and there's a potential to where, I mean, the deal could be killed, just because a lot of times in wholesale, it only bites down to the low ball offer with wholesale, unless you do some sort of creative finance in the background. So we need communication with the person you're telling us that has the deal, whether it's a seller or a JVer. We need some sort of offer or asking from somebody, so we're not just shooting in the dark. And then from there, we wouldn't necessarily ask you to know how to comp plan, but understand the fact that we have a good idea of what's going on in the market, right? So if you're going to bring us a deal, bring it to us in DFW, which is Dallas, Fort Worth. This is the same Metroplex, Houston, or at least another major market.
So my question to you, Anthony, would be, how do I know what to offer in these areas?
You don't necessarily have to know what to offer. I just need a number, and then you can bring it to us and we can help you off.
Yeah, that's like the main point takeaway is just make sure you're in communication with either that seller or person that has the deal. Make sure you have a number out of that individual so that we can take a look at it and be like, that number makes sense, or here's what we see out in the market. We'll give you that feedback based on our experience and our know-how. There's additional steps that we have that we can share, that we're gonna share in terms of how to evaluate land properties. But when it comes down to like being like, yo, is this a good deal or not? It's very helpful to at least have a baseline number out of that individual that you're talking to.
I know exactly what you're asking, right? Yeah, so in the Florida market, when you're doing a deal, everyone in Florida, when it comes down to the buyer, they want it 20 to 30% below retail. It's not necessarily like that here in Dallas and Houston, right? We could get as close to retail as possible as long as it makes sense. But what matters to us in that first question is be in communication and at least have a number in mind. If the lot could only sell for 90 and you're bringing it to me at 210, I want to know right off the back if the next hour that I'm about to put into this is just a waste of time. Right. But what you're asking, which I understand that what you want, that's a whole nother question. The first question would be, what do I need in order to bring you a deal? Be in communication and have at least a number. Right. Now, the second part of the question would be, how do I know the number is correct? Then we can dive into that. Right. So the number is correct based off of the following 7 that Devin, I see he has a beautiful slide for. from there, Devin, you could take it. But yeah, your first reach, we need to be in communication, and we need to have at least an asking or interest in selling the property. That's it. Other than that, when it comes down to the number, we can help you with that if you don't know how to it. If you're a beginner, we got it. If you're advanced, we got it. Like we can help you regardless. But this, from knowing that part, being in communication and having an asking in place, this is how we decide whether to deal in the Texas market.
Okay.
All right. And just to jump into that, I'm going to kind of brush through these, but we can go into more depth as people have questions and whatnot. But the main 7 steps that we really look at when it comes down to being able to determine the value of a piece of land here in Texas, whether it's a small infield lot that you can only build one single family house on, or whether it's 100 acres, these steps, these process steps here are all valid for each of that boundary line there. So number 1 is going to be flood zone. Flood zone is a massive killer out here in Dallas and pretty much all of Texas. Flood zone, there's different types of flood zone. You have your levee protected, which isn't as bad, but then you have your 100-year floodplain and flood zone. Yeah, floodway, which basically requires you to get FEMA permits to build. Those FEMA permits and building regulations can cost you anywhere from $30,000 up just to build your house. And it's a big number, which basically not only is it a big number, but it's a long process. So like just to get your FEMA approved for the build, you're looking at an extended 3 to 6 months in that build process timeline. So as a builder, if you get a loan on a land to build a new construction home, you're sitting there paying interest for 3 to 6 months while you get these permits figured out, which is why there's not too many builders in DFW or Houston in general that are going to buy these properties. So that's a big thing. You can find this information on FEMA.org. There's a lot of information there about flood zones in pretty much all of US. Number 2 is going to be your zoning, your ordinance, what the property is actually zoned for. You can find this information online. You can find it by calling the zoning and planning department in the specific city that your lead is in. A lot of times they'll have that information for you. You can just call them and give them the parcel ID, and they'll be able to give you that property and what it's zoned for and what it allows. Number 3 is going to be utilities. There's different types of utilities. You got city water, city sewer. Those are your standard. And then you have septic and well. Those are your more uncommon ones, but those actually show up quite a bit out here in the Texas market, depending on what city you're in. Not all of DFW has city water, city sewer. Some of them are going to require septic and well. And septic, generally on the low end, is going to cost you around $10,000. Well is going to cost you around $12,000 to $15,000. Just to bring those in. And that doesn't include too, like, so say you're developing a property and you just need to bring utilities to that land, to that lot. You could say you got your house, you got a house here and you got your lot here. And they didn't drag the utilities the whole way. Just dragging those utilities is going to cost you a substantial amount too. Right now it's about $200 per linear foot plus contracting prices to drag utilities. So that's going to cost you anywhere.
Devin, hold on real quick. Tolu, can you mute your mic?
What's that?
No, you good. You could go again.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that when you're dragging utilities, it costs around $200 per linear foot in today's market to drag utilities. So say your property from where you need your utilities to where you're taking them to your property is around 100 feet. You're going to basically be paying around, what's that, $20,000 just to drag those utilities. And that's a pretty standard number. If you're doing even if you're doing a small subdivision where you got to develop roads, sidewalks, all that, and you got about 30 houses that you're developing and you're doing all the preliminary plats for and whatnot, that's still going to cost you around 30 to 40, somewhere in that range for engineering costs, everything in between per lot, 30 to 40,000 per lot for those utilities. So utilities are a major factor when it comes to developing and lot costs here in Texas. And figuring out if your property has utilities, there's a few ways, like I was saying. One, you can call the city, you can call They're they have a specific specific department for utilities. Not all cities do.
Okay,
Jessica, if you could
fine. Okay, working.
Devin, if you could mute everybody's mic.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, so there's a wastewater and water division in most cities, and you can get a hold of them by the phone and see if they have a utility map for your area. Not always do they have that, but if they don't, then you can call the water department. Water department might be able to hook you up with some utility maps, or there's another company, Anthony. I don't know what's that one company you can call that basically lets you
So
know
it's
about
in the city, a
yeah.
lot of times, in most major metros, it's called the Public Works Department or
Yeah.
just a simple utility department. But the easiest thing to do if you're in like Tampa, if you're in Dallas, you call the city and you ask them simply who's the water company in my area. Then call the water company with the address that you have and ask them if they have any connections available for that property. They'll tell you whether they have meters there available, which saves $7,000. It's $7,000 for a water meter, $7,000 for a sewer meter in DFW and Houston specifically. I don't know about Florida, but they'll tell you if they don't have them, at least if you have a line in front of your property. So another major thing about utilities is it's very smart to know what side of the street they are on. If they're on the opposite side of the street of your property, you're going to have to cut that cement and then bring that pipe over, which is going to cost a pretty good amount, just as Devin said, per square foot. So I mean per linear
Dollars, yeah.
And
Yeah, so
and the same thing with Florida and like Point Siena, where they require full utilities. You want to do the same strategy. Call the water company, give them the address, and then they'll give you information on that specific lot. So
that's nationwide. Nationwide. And then if it's in the county, first step is to figure out if it has utilities. First step. If you're dealing with a lot in the county, first step is utilities. I wouldn't say pass it up if it's septic and if it's sewer, but just make sure you know the difference. If y'all have trouble with it, that's where we're here to answer questions. But utilities is very important. City is key. City utility, city water, city sewer, that's key.
yeah. All right. I think you was on
And then
circuit.
yeah, the next thing would be surveys. Surveys show you a few different things when it comes down to it. They show you basically easements, which thought we had that on here, but no. Easements basically they can be overhead or underground. Overhead easements would be like your electrical pools. Underground would be like oil or gas lines, or could be a number of different things. Just like it could be just like a random pipe that's in the ground that someone left in there from 100 years ago. But easements basically they really affect how you can build and what you can build and where you can build it. There was a few different deals that we came across throughout our years where we had this really nice one. I think it was out in DeSoto, where they had a big gas pad on the property. Now, gas pads don't necessarily destroy that land opportunity, but if it's active, you need to have that copy of that active lease. Even if it's inactive, you got to have a copy of that lease so that you can reach out to the owners of that gas pad and see if they will allow you to use their easement is to even do the development. When they do those gas easements, they actually build long streets to gain access to that gas pad. So it doesn't eliminate your use for that, but it definitely restricts how close you can build to it, and if the owner of that pad will even allow you to do certain things, since they technically have rights to that property. So that's one thing with surveys. Surveys also can show you utility locations some of the times, depending if it's on the property or not. They show you your build lines.
Do
That's
you need a survey when like wholesaling a deal?
you don't need it to wholesale, but a builder's gonna want it to buy. So 99 times out of 100, before that property is closed on here in Texas, a builder's gonna want a survey ordered through title.
So do you order it or does the
When
builder?
it's on your weekly fund.
It's a cost on the builder, but they order it through title while it's still being cleared.
Okay.
Property could even be 100% cleared, but that builder still wants you to basically get that survey so that they can understand if there's any obstructions or easements or encroachments on that property that prevent them from building.
Okay.
That's like the main thing. And then not only does it tell them those main points, but it also tell them what their build lines are. So they need that survey in order to develop their plans, their preliminary plans to present those to the city. So like basically when a builder's buying a lot, they're they're getting ready to build that house as soon as possible. So they're trying to do as much due diligence while the property's still under contract. And they don't want to buy a property and then buy a survey after they purchase it just to find out there's something that's stopping them from building that property.
For sure.
Waste of money.
Yeah, we've met builders that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars buying properties before getting surveys just to find some small thing on there that they can't get rid of, and it just ruins their whole deal. The next thing would be street. Street kind of goes in a line with utilities. You're gonna have either dirt road, no road, or a paved road. Paved road almost guarantees that there's some sort of utility. It doesn't mean that utility is big enough to support what you want to build, but it at least guarantees there's some sort of line there for you to tap into, whether it's across the street or on your side of the street. Um, it's a big deal when it comes down to it. The next thing is slope. Slope, another word for that would be grade. So that's like how flat or how curved your lot is. And if there's any sort of slope in the back or in the front of your property, this correlates to bringing in dirt to your property. Dirt comes with a cost. I was actually looking at that. So right now, bringing in just regular fill dirt, because there's fill dirt, there's sand, and then there's topsoil dirt. That fill dirt costs anywhere from $5 to $30 per cubic yard. So you'd have to kind of figure out what a yard is to a foot and then what a foot is to how many you have on your property. But in average, a regular size lot's going to be around like 5,000 square feet. I don't know what exactly that correlates to yard. I don't have that conversion, but you can kind of do that math to figure out like how much square foot or how much yard and how much feet you have, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to the depth. So a lot of the times something that can kill a deal is your property having a major slope and you having to bring in like, a ton of a yardage of dirt, and it just doesn't make sense for that lot anymore to build on. A way builders actually nowadays can alleviate a little bit of that dirt problem is if they have a pier and beam foundation to where they build big piers into the back of the property, kind of subsequent that dirt a little bit. But that has different costs to it as well, and it's really contingent upon finding the right builder for that lot. And then the last one we put on there was trees. Surprisingly enough, I don't know about Florida, but trees actually play a big part out here in Texas. This kind of comes up during your phase one surveying process, but basically trees can kill deals just because you can't cut the thing down. Some trees are endangered here in Texas where they won't, if you bring your plans to the city, they'll be like, all right, let me test these trees because your land has a bunch of trees on them. So you have to hire someone to go test the trees and then bring that tree report back to the city, and they'll give you a yay or nay on being able to cut down certain trees. That's generally not a problem unless it's bigger acreage. Acreage that causes more of a problem, but there is a thing where when you do cut down trees, sometimes, especially out here in Dallas, since we don't have that many, they'll actually require you to replant them or regrow them out in a different area. So there's like a trade-off, like you cut this many trees, so you have to plant this many trees and pay this permit to do so.
That's wild.
And it's not only that, like currently, because I build as of right now, and my neighbor likes my tree, so I have to fight them in the city to cut my own tree down.
What? Like it's on your property?
It's on my property, and the neighbor likes it because it's a bigger tree. I can't hug it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm 6'3". I got a big wingspan. I can't get halfway around it, so it's old. But I gotta fight my neighbor to cut my own tree down.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Malik, talk to him about Fatima right now. What's going on with Fatima? Why did we lose that deal from a couple people because of the tree coverage?
Yeah, trees.
So it was what, like a 5,000, 6,000 square foot lot, 50 by 150 by 120, something like that.
Yeah,
What was the cost
it's platted. We were asking around
with the
60.
trees? Was the
Oh yeah,
trees
the
situation?
trees. Yeah, the trees is just covered by trees, and the trees would cost 10 to 12 K to get those excavated. So, you gotta keep those numbers in mind because obviously if they pay for the lot, they're paying 60K and then they have to pay 10 to 12K
And
for
those
the
trees are this
trees.
big,
Yeah, yeah,
not like this big. Those trees are this big. So you
yeah.
just got to make sure when you're dealing with the last three: street, slope, and trees. The reason why they're important to me, the first four teach you if it's buildable, if it's desirable, right? So there's two things that come with land: Florida, Texas, Cali. I don't care. Desirability and cost. The first four deal with desirability. If it's in the flood zone, I don't desire it. There's plenty of that aren't. I'd rather go buy them. It won't take me 6 months. If the zoning isn't right, I'd rather go buy something that has my zoning. It's just not desirable to me. Utilities. If it doesn't have utilities, I'd rather go buy one that has utilities. There's plenty available here. There's hundreds of millions of lots here. If it doesn't have a survey, that's okay with me. But if one came up at the same price with one, I'd rather go with that because I know right now whether it's buildable. So desirability is the first four. The last three to me is cost. If it has a street, do I need a street? Is it cost me to put it? Not only does it kill my desirability, but also adds cost to my project. Slope, do I need to bring in dirt? Desirability and cost. Trees, do I have to remove trees? Right? Do I have to plant trees? That all comes down to the zoning ordinance. So the reason why we put the last three in there because it tells you where you have to back away. So what you were asking at first before this explanation was, at what cost do we bring you a lot, right? So where? So in Florida, it's 20 to 30% of retail. That's what buyers like, right? Oh, it's retail on Zillow. I need a 30% discount. It's retail. I see they're charging that on Zillow. I need a 20% discount. Here, it's a little bit different. If it's flat, there's no slope. If it's paved with a curb, like I don't have to put a street. If it doesn't have any trees, so it's clear, flat, and has a street, it's not in the flood zone, it's got my residential zoning, it has city utilities, and it's got a survey, I'll give you 20%. What that means is figurative numbers. If I can build a $300,000 house, 10% of that is 30K times two, 20%. I could pay 60K for that lot. 300,000, 60K, right? That's 20%. But if it has trees, I have to back away from that 20. If it's sloped, I have to back away from that 20. If there isn't a street, if my comps are all paved roads, they got curbs and everything, like wastewater, they got everything. And mine's dirt, I gotta back away from that 20. That's where a lot of people fail in the Dallas market.
Yeah. And I'll just chime in, and we're not saying all this to run you guys away, and because I promise you, it's not that complicated. That's why we're here. That's why Anthony said, bring us a deal, get a number, and then from there, our job is to help you train your eye. And once you get used to seeing these deals and going through the flood zone, going through the zoning, going through the utility survey, street slope, trees, this will be like riding a bike. You just got to train your eyes to see this stuff. That way, you know how to kind of maneuver your numbers.
Okay. Man, there was a lot. Okay.
That's why anybody can do it, but you need more than this hour phone call. You need somebody in the market who is educated, who is seasoned, and it's by all means do it. Like nobody taught me, nobody taught Devin, no one taught Malik. We all taught each other. We learn. How long is it going to take you? 6 months. It's going to take you 6 months to learn how to comp properly. It's going to take you another 3 months to figure it out when it comes down to contracts. If you're from zero, right? So 9 months, but you got to be willing to put 9 months in. Now, if you have help, we can do this right now. You know what I mean? So it is a lot, but this isn't houses. Houses is easy.
And like I said, I quote. Oh, go ahead.
I was
But
just
I didn't
saying,
know,
like,
like, yeah, my first 100K deal, which we brought up, Eli, I didn't know none of this stuff, and I made 100K. So you can get deals
right,
closed without knowing all of this. We're just trying to, teach you the ins and outs
True.
of what's going on in this market. I didn't know none of this, and I had a
But you knew
mentor
someone.
lead me through the transaction. Yeah, and so that's what
right.
we're
You
here
knew
for, is a
someone.
mentor.
So you could either put 9 months in by yourself, or you can
Yeah.
know somebody and do it in a day.
So is there like specific areas in these areas? Because I know Texas is huge. So
I got
you
some
said
Dallas and Fort
Houston, you
Worth
said
zip codes.
Dallas, Fort Worth. Is
Yeah.
any part of Dallas, Fort Worth somewhere we can make offers, or is it like specific areas?
It all comes down to knowing your zoning. If it has a major city, if it's a major city, right? If it's over 100,000 people that's in it, it all comes down to knowing your zoning. The issue with the DFW market is on my side of the street, it could be residential, but on the exact opposite side of the street, like if I walk across that 30-foot road, that's commercial.
Wow.
Right. So if you know the 20% and then how much to take away for street sloping trees, like just a general percentage,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to know how much the houses are selling for. So you could do lot to lot comps, but the issue, what I'm finding is being a builder now, there's people who just get deals, right? So like you could see these comps for like 45, 50, this and that. You can see a 65K, but you call your best buyer, and your best buyer is like, why would I pay that? I just locked up one on the same street for 45. Okay, sir, you just got a deal. Like congratulations, but the retail says this. But what you have to know is how much houses are selling for in that area so you know what to argue.
So that's important. Knowing
That's
like
the most important.
Put
That's in
yourself in the
Florida.
buyer's
That's
shoes.
here. That's everywhere. Most
yeah,
important is knowing what I can build and how much I can sell it for. Because what a lot of people don't understand is you could have two buyers that buy the same amount of houses per year. This buyer owns their contractors. So they pay them out their salary. Like they pay them out of the company. They're on their payroll. And this person is a GC and subcontracts it. This person's going to put a 30% markup on everything they do, but this person just pays them hourly. Who's going to pay more? This guy. Right. So knowing what you can build allows you to grill your buyer on why are you offering me this? Do you own your subcontractors? Like you pay them out your payroll, or are you a GC? You're gonna like subcontract them out and then mark me up.
mark me up.
Very important.
So you really don't want to work with GCs.
If you ain't got a big buyer list, you got to do what you got to do. But my
Yeah.
buyers list consists of people who don't mark up.
Gotcha. All right. Do you think there's anything we're missing?
Yeah, I think I need.
Yeah,
I got
there's
some.
nothing you can't get it all here. And then it's 1 hour call. This takes it just takes time.
Yeah.
If I kind of put in the group chat. So if none of y'all are over there in the chat, go look at the chat, right? So there's these 7, and it tells you like flood zone, go to FEMA to check it. What are you missing? You don't know how to navigate FEMA.com. You don't know what to click. You don't know how to put the address in. You don't know what these flood zone means. So yeah, you're missing something there. When it goes to zoning, I put where to go, like what to Google to find out if you have a GIS map, which is a global information systems, which is we're digital now. Everything's digital. But do you know how to navigate it? So yeah, you're missing that. Utility company. Is it a water department? Is it public works? Is it this? Is it that? Do you know what a sewer is? Do you know what a well is? Do you know how much it costs? Do you know how much it costs to tap into your city? You're missing that. With a survey, you can see if you have a survey and if you don't have a survey, right? So a survey basically tells you if it's buildable. Like I said, it'll tell you if there's any easements. If I have a water line running right through the middle of my property, I can't put a 10,000 pound house on it. It'll break the water line. It'll kill everything in the area, right? But if you don't know how to read a survey, you're missing that. You have to know how to read a survey. So there's a lot we're missing. It's just general information right now, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think in layman terms, I think the easiest way to get you guys into the market and acclimated is giving you guys, areas to market to. So I have some zip codes in Dallas and Fort Worth that I'm going to share, that I've done deals in, that I've closed deals in, and that I know there's lots at, because I'm still seeing deals in that area to this day. And like I said, bring us the deal. Like Anthony said, get a number and get some interest, and then we can wrap a taste. We can break down, the deal a lot further, and let you know why or why not it's a deal until you guys get the hang of it your own, and you don't need us anymore to, do the due diligence and the underwriting. But we're always going to be here for the disposition and bringing a buyer to the table.
You won't perfect it in this hour. This will only get you interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of like what we're doing in Florida. So I like that you guys are like helping them out in terms of once they get the deal, figuring out why it's a deal and why it's not, and then going
I'm sure
from
there's a
there.
lot of
'Cause
moving pieces in Florida too that you don't know about, and until you get the deal, and you gotta learn from. I didn't know about turtles. I was like, what the heck is that? So canal lock like that. So there's definitely intricacies that you just got to deal with as you go, and you learn from. You fail forward.
Yeah, and it's important that you guys tap in with them because, especially for next year, the more markets you know, the more money or potential money that you can make. Because now you could do deals in Florida, now you could do deals in Texas, and start expanding and scaling from there. So I appreciate you guys for coming on. Devin, if you could make me the host again or reclaim so I could get the
Yeah,
recording. And then, is there anything?
throw this in there too.
We got some questions in the chat, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some zip codes in the chat too. Um, let's see. Y'all want to start from the top of the questions?
I mean,
Maybe you
yeah.
could put the codes first.
And
Say
he could
again?
drop the cones. And Devin, you want to take care of the questions? Knock them out. I already
Yeah,
answered one.
how do I change ownership on here?
I'll knock out these questions.
Yes. First one was like, how can we collaborate, JV,
I'm
with you?
gonna reclaim it. I got it.
Oh, you got it, but
Yeah.
So you could reclaim it. I mean, you could JV with us with that screen that was on there, which just got off. Malik, when you put the zip codes, just go ahead and drop some information on them,
Yeah.
like where they can send their deals. So where they can send their deals, their email, and where they could call you specifically because Malik is acquisitions. From
Yeah.
there, Devin does basically everything else, and Malik can sell your deal too.
So when you get a deal or you have some interest or anything of that nature, I'm the first point of contact. Putting my thing in the chat right now. I'm gonna leave on my number and my email. Just contact me. We'll get on the phone, and we'll see what you have, and then we'll go from there. But literally, it's just contact me. That's how you start. Um, and even if you don't have a deal, if you just have questions or you just want to anything, just contact me. We're open books and we're here to help.
Yeah. So just to start with the VJ Tom, I hope I said it right. I know you put it in parentheses and everything, but like our survey is the same as inspections. I answered the question via text, but survey is a legal document that you have to hire somebody just like an inspection to come in. But that document that you get tells you where your property is geographically on the earth. And then it is submitted to the municipal, which is the city, and it tells them my property is here. So if for some reason the neighbor has a fence on your property, it tells you that there's an encroachment and you have the legal obligation to be able to remove that fence off your property. All right. So it's not the same as an inspection. An inspection, that's more for structures. Like you could inspect your land, but that's not going to do anything for you. They're just going to tell you there's trees this, there's trees that. A survey, there's multiple different types of surveys. There's elevation surveys that tells you the hills. There is form board surveys for when you're gonna go put your slab down, where your boards are, so they know where the slab's gonna be. There's tree surveys. There's a lot of different surveys. It's not the same as an inspection. Inspection is more for structure. When talking to motivated sellers, can we ask them these questions? The questions, I'm assuming you're talking about the seven that we put up. You can, but the only one that's important that you could truly get from the seller is the survey. Like, do you have a survey? Because if they closed on it recently and they're they're an intelligent buyer, they have the survey. And then you could get like just a phone copy or whatever. But when it's in title, they're actually going to have to send them a PDF document of it. So the only one you truly ask the seller is the survey because it's a tangible item you can receive from them. You can ask them about the utilities, but if they're trying to sell a property, they could lie to you. Same thing with flood zone. They can't lie to you about the survey. If they tell you I have a survey, it's either send it to me or we have to order one. It's that simple. How can we collaborate or JV with you? So there's a phone call. You could call Malik, or you can, if you have questions when it comes to comping, you can call Devin. And then if you have a deal already, you could send it into RH, Renovate Holdings, RH deal collection at gmail.com. Clear, flat, in the street, no trees equals 20%. Has a street. Has a street. There is a paved street, right? Equals 20%, not always, right? So don't think DFW, all of Texas is that. In a major city, yes. If it's outside of the city, like 30 minutes, but still has utilities, you have a survey, it's not the flood zone, but it's not, it doesn't have, what would you say? Like a Six Flags, like main restaurants. It doesn't have anything that would accommodate like a big city. Attractions. If it doesn't have attractions, it's not 20% because it's not desirable, right? So it'd be more like 25 to 30% in somewhere that's not a major city. If you don't know the major cities, I would highly recommend you do anything that has over 100,000 people. 100,000 people in the DFW market is a major city. That's a lot. It is. And I'm telling you, you can't get it in an hour. You can't get it in the next hour. You can't get it in the next day. I'm telling you, it's going to be anywhere, depending on how fast you learn and what type of learner you are, audible, visual, or tangible, anywhere from 3 months to 9 months. It's not going to be quick, but it's very lucrative and it will make you money. Can you share Houston zip codes? Is there a minimum size lot we should look for? 5,000. 5,000 is minimal. You have to know what a frontage is. So am I missing anything? Yes, you got to know what a frontage means, right? So if I have a rectangle square lot, the frontage is what lot is attached to the street, right? I don't know where you live, but I live on a street called St. Mark. I have a 6,000 square foot lot that's 60 by 100, and the front 60 is on the street. That is a frontage. Here you have to build 5 foot in on this side, 5 foot in on that side. So I can only build a 50 front wide house. If you try and send me something that's 20 foot by 300 foot and telling me it's 5,000, like I can only build a 10 foot wide house. A builder is not going to want that, right? So it's a minimum size, yes, 5,000, but what's more important is a minimum of 25 foot frontage.
It really depends on the zoning too when it comes down to, I mean, you can use 5,000 as a reference tool, but don't toss a lead because it's only 2,500 square foot. 2,500 square foot can build shotgun houses out here in Dallas, which also yield 350,000 ARVs. Right now. Right. Yeah, if you can find a grouping of those small lots in Dallas, people will pick them up quick because those still produce around 325, 350 ARVs, depending on the area.
Vijay, could you drop that screenshot for me, please? The one that you took. Could you put it in the chat for me? Are the lots worth 10 to 15 of ARV houses in DFW? New builds. Now, it's very hard. So I'm talking to Nadia, right? If you can pick up in Dallas a lot that's at 10% and it meets 5 or 6 of the 7, we're going to make some money. If you can get it at 15, we might make a little money, but we can make some money if it hits the 7. If you're missing 4 of the 7, that's going to be hard. So the ARV of houses, it can't be fix and flips. It has to be new builds. And a new build is, because we're in 2024, about to go to 2025, it's 2022 and up. So like the year, 2022 and up. And then you have to match the square foot. So a new build is 2022 and up. Anything below it, I would consider a fix and flip. They have to be near amenities. Yes, they have to be near attractions. They have to be near just the normal restaurants everybody has. We all got, like, what would you say, McDonald's. Like, not, if you got a Dollar General and you don't got a Walmart, if it has a Walmart and it has a Home Depot and a Lowe's, you're in the right place. what is your approach to getting a survey in the situation? We usually reach out to sellers randomly. So I always wonder how they have a survey ready when the probability they haven't even thought about selling it now. When they purchased the property, if they were a smart buyer, they purchased a survey so they knew what they were getting. So if they have it, great. If they lost it, okay. What that does is that's going to tell us if it's buildable if they have it. And if it's not, that means we can't close in 7 to 14 days. We can't do it. It takes 7 days to get a survey back, right? So put 45 days on your contract, put 30 days on your contract, and allow for title to get cleared. In Dallas, there's a lot of title issues. I recommend 45 days on every contract if you can get it here in Dallas. Fort Worth is not the same, but there's a lot of people who died and don't know what they're doing. Dallas is full of a lot of unintelligent individuals, to put it the most friendly. There's a lot of people who didn't know what they were doing 40, 50, 60 years ago, and now they're passing away and they didn't record their deed. They didn't record will, so probate's going to be difficult. So affidavit of heirships, which is where you have to get two random people who aren't associated with their family that know their family well enough to say they didn't have any kids. If they don't have a probate and there's no will, that's the only way for you to sell a property here in Dallas. So that's, to me, it's very important for you to have that type of situation. 1 acre plus is great. Okay, what is the largest size lot you're most interested in? A lot of people try and sell something you can subdivide, right? So if you have a 20,000 square foot lot in a neighborhood full of 5 to 10,000 square foot lots, that subdivide it's gonna take me time to subdivide. So you can't, if figurative numbers, 300,000, 60. Remember, if I could sell a $300,000 house and it's flat clear with nothing on it, and I could sell it for 60. If it has to be subdivided, I can't sell it for 120. It's gonna take me 6 to 12 months for me to subdivide it. So that means if I purchase it, I gotta pay interest rate on the property. I gotta pay taxes. I gotta pay everything, right? So to me, if you're talking about a lot, which is a lot where you could build a single family property on, don't buy anything double or contract anything double. If it's 20, like if the neighborhood is 10,000 square foot, don't contract something 20,000 square foot and think you can 2 times the price. You can only sell it at like 1.5, 1.6 higher, because you have to bake in amount of numbers for them to be able to subdivide it and making that 2 properties you're talking about. So to me, stick to the lot size of the neighborhood. And thank you very much, Vidya, for that. I appreciate that. Other than that, that's all the questions.
Man, I appreciate y'all, and I definitely gotta kick it with y'all again for sure. That was a good time with y'all with the podcast. Definitely had a good time.
You know about that event? That event's February 28th. I know your situation with it, but it's still come out, still pop out.
You said it's in February?
It's in February 28th.
Y'all didn't do it in September?
We didn't do it in September because that big hurricane hit the same weekend.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, so we canceled that the month we knew it was gonna hit, and then we pushed it out to September. I mean, we got some pretty big little heavy hitters. We ain't got no Grant Cardone or nothing like that, but like Jamil Damji's coming out, Pace is gonna pop out, Brent Daniels is gonna pop out. I mean, we got a couple nice people who are gonna be on the stage talking, and I mean, you know, a couple of people who's gonna be there talking about land. I mean, it's gonna be nice. And if you buy the VIP tickets, it's costly. Don't get me wrong, but it's at the Gaylord. It's over there by I can't even remember the city right now, but it's up there nice. It's a nice little venue.
For sure. All right, y'all. I'm gonna put the recording probably within the next 24 hours. It just has to load. And then definitely connect with them if you want to learn the Dallas market. You know, start sending them some JV so you could learn and earn at the same time. All right. I hope y'all have a good night.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.